Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and a faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Next order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I recognize members from Kisumu County Assembly, Committee on Welfare and Equal Opportunities, and the committee is led by the chairperson, the Honorable Mildred Ajumbo, and the following members. Honorable Eunice Alando. We may want to, thank you. The Honorable Emily Oginga. The Honorable Anne Ochola. The Honorable Tom Onditi. The Honorable Karen Lawino. And the Honorable Karen Othiambo. May I also recognize staff from the County Assembly of Kisumu accompanying the members, and the staff namely are Ben Abuota, Jessica Otieno, Rispa Waiwa, David Ayeko. We welcome you. And extend this cooperation between the county assemblies across the 47 counties. And karibuni tena. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Thank you. There is a paper to be laid. By the Honorable Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And with your permission, before I lay the paper, allow me, sir, to welcome the honorable members from Kisumu, welcome to Nakuru, and feel at home. We really feel honored that you came to benchmark and to visit this great assembly of Nakuru. So feel at home. We really appreciate your coming. Mr. Speaker, with me here, I have a report. The report, Mr. Speaker, is actually on the vetting of the nominee for the position of the County Assembly Secretary's position. Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay this report before this very honorable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, I think I talked of the county assembly. The position is the county secretary, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Leader of Majority Party. Notices of motion. There is a notice of motion.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Sorry for that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, in order number 6, that pursuant to Section 44 of the County Government Act, number 17, which is of 2012, Section 9 of the Public Appointments and County Approvals Act, Act of 2017, and the standing orders of this great house, standing order number 48, subsection 4. This house adopts the report of the committee on the appointment of the vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura for the appointment of the position of the county secretary and head of the public service to the county government of Nakuru. Mr. Speaker, I wish to give the notice for this specific motion, and I want to request Honorable PM. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to give the notice.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, there's a procedural motion.
There is a procedural motion by the Honorable Alex Langat, Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to move a procedural motion that pursuant to Section 44 of this County Government Act number 17 of 2012. Notwithstanding the provision of the standing orders, that is 49, 5, subsection B, this House resolves to debate the report of the committee on the appointment on the vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura for the appointment to the position of county secretary and head of public service of the county government of Nakuru. I wish to, at this point, Mr. Speaker, to request Mheshimiwa PM to be able to second this procedural motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My name is PM Joroge, MCA for Morindat, and Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to second.
Thank you. The procedural motion is that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 49, 5B, this House resolves to debate the report of the Committee on Appointment on the vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura for the appointment to the position of County Secretary and Head of Public Service of the County Government of Nakuru. And the motion is open for debate. Mheshimiwa member from Viwandani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute on the report on the vetting of one Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura. And before I do that, Mr. Speaker, I wish to welcome honorable members from Kisumu. Yeah, I feel much welcome here in Nakuru. Is the home of many opportunities. So, Honorable Speaker, after the motion has been moved, Mr. Speaker, I can see that the Honorable or Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura went through a committee on appointment, and he was.
What is it, the Honourable Member for Naivasha East?
Mr. Speaker, maybe you give direction because the Honourable Member has jumped to the report, and we are yet, we have not gone to the procedure. We are debating the procedural motion, whether we do agree. So I think the member is quite ahead of time. Maybe you direct.
Yeah, the business before the floor of the House is the procedural motion. We are debating the reasons or why we need to move and support or not this procedural motion, so that now in the same time or in the morning session, we've given notice and we've tabled the report, and now we proceed to debate the main report. So before the House is a procedural motion as to where we are going to shorten the time that is used to ordinarily to be allowed for a debate to take place.
So, Honorable Speaker, I don't know why the Honorable Member rushed to judge me. I don't know whether he read my mind on what I was going to say, but it's good that he is here, but it's good also that you've given a direction. Thank you. I support also, Mr. Speaker, that we debate on the report. So I was not on the motion to say what we should do, what you should do, but the Honorable Member went ahead. So nashukuru, na we can have time to debate the report, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Leader of Minority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, listening to the member for Viwandani, the mood of the House is that we proceed with the procedural motion because the members are anxious. This county has stayed without a county secretary for almost 1 year. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I feel that to proceed with the procedural motion. Mr. Speaker, I support the procedural motion.
Thank you, the Leader of Minority Party. It's just said that there is a mood of the House, so I don't know if there is that mood or it is his observation and his opinion. So I'm going to put it to question that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 49(5)(b), this House resolves to debate the report of the Committee on Appointment on the vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura for the appointment to the position of County Secretary and the Head of Public Service of the County Government of Nakuru. As many who are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many who are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion.
There is a motion by the Honorable Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, the House, for also allowing us to move on with the motion. Mr. Speaker, the motion actually rotates around the report, Mr. Speaker, which I want to lay before this House. And you remember very well, you committed, when the names were brought to this Honorable House on 19th, you committed the name to a committee, the appointment committee, so that they can be able to do the vetting of Dr. Mwaura. The Select Committee on Appointment, Mr. Speaker, is actually established under the Standing Orders number 187 of the County Assembly of Nakuru's Standing Orders. Its mandate, Mr. Speaker, is well stipulated therein. It's important also at this point, Mr. Speaker, to mention the names of the committee, which comprised of Honorable Karuri as the chair of the committee, Honorable Alex Langat, Honorable Philip Nderito, Honorable Isabella Makori, Honorable Peter Palanga, and Honorable Rose Chepkoech as components of that committee, which actually went ahead to do the vetting and were able to come up with a report. In this, Mr. Speaker, we are reminding ourselves that pursuant to the provision of Section 44 of the County Government Act of 2012 and Section 6.1 on the public appointment of the County Assembly's Approval Act 2017, the Governor forwarded the names of Dr. Samuel Mwaura Mwangi for the position of the County Secretary on the 19th of September 2023. This was in accordance of Standing Order number 48, subsection 2 of the County Assembly of Nakuru's Standing Order. Mr. Speaker, the nomination and the appointment procedures are found in Section 44 of the County Government Act of 2012. The procedures actually provide for the nomination and the appointment of the County Secretary. I say so because it should be understood that what we are doing is well laid before this Honorable House. The committee's proceedings, Mr. Speaker, during the approval and hearing, the committee held sittings to examine and to review the nominees' certificate, the testimonials, and they went ahead to do the vetting. In this point, Mr. Speaker, allow me to acknowledge, take this opportunity to thank the members of this great committee for their inputs and valuable contributions during the vetting process, which was a very tough and very vigorous exercise. The committee wishes to also thank the officers of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Assembly for the logistical support accorded to it during the vetting exercise. Further, the committee, it is also thankful to the media for its coverage, Mr. Speaker. The vetting at this point, Mr. Speaker, was open, it was in the public, and the media came in large numbers, and the public also came in large numbers. The advocates of the weak and the meek voices also came, and the galleries were wide open for all of them, Mr. Speaker. They took us and they followed the proceedings as the vettings were going on. On behalf of the Select Committee on the appointment and pursuant to Section 44 of this County Government Act 2012, Section 9, of the Public Appointments County Approval Act 2017, and Standing Orders 48, subsection C, subsection 4 of the County Assembly of Nakuru Standing Orders. It is my pleasant duty, Mr. Speaker, to have tabled the report of the Committee on Vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura. And of course, as we table, there are many things that we actually looked at. We went to the background information, we looked at the legal framework of the whole exercise, the appointment and the position of the County Secretary. And as I have said, Mr. Speaker, it is well and legally constituted. The public appointment of County Assemblies Act number 5 of 2017, Section 8 of the Public Appointment County Assemblies Approval Act number 5 of 2017. It provides issues which the County Assembly is supposed to have considered actually in relationship to any nominee. And this actually includes the procedures used to arrive at the nominee, any constitutional and statutory requirements relating to the office in question. In this question, that of the County Secretary. And the suitability of the nominee for the appointment proposed, having regarded to whether the nominee's ability, experience, and qualities met the needs of the body to which the nomination is actually being made. The schedule of the public appointment actually provides for the criteria to guide the committee. So the committee, Mr. Speaker, was well guided, and a few of these included the educational background, the employment of the nominee, honors and awards that the nominee may have achieved in the past, public office, political activities and affiliations, deferred income or future benefits, sources of his or her income, the tax status and statements of the net worth, potentials conflict that the nominee may have had, pro bono or charity works that the nominee may have been involved, whether the nominee has been tried in court, and if there are any evidences. Whether the nominee also has adversely been mentioned in investigatory reports of the County Assembly or any other commission of inquiry. Mr. Speaker, we consider the Chapter 6 of our Constitution, which talks about leadership and integrity. We are also able to consider Leadership and Integrities Act of 2012. We are also able to look at Article 232 of the Constitution on values and the principles of the public service, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Section 8, 1A, and 44 of the County Government Act of 2012, Section 7 of the Public Appointment of County Assemblies, Mr. Speaker, the nominee was actually notified properly according to the law. There was a request for memorandums also, which we were able to carry out, Mr. Speaker, and it's good to mention here that in accordance to the provision of Section 7, subsection 10 of the public appointments of county assemblies, the clerk of the county assembly placed an advertisement in the print media. That was done actually on 21st of September 2023, inviting the public to submit a memorandum by way of written statements on oath, so that is sworn affidavits, Mr. Speaker, on the suitability of this nominee. On the submissions of a memorandum, the committee received a petition. But the petition, Mr. Speaker, was in line and in support of the nominee for the Nakuru County Public Opinion Consultative Initiative. Mr. Speaker, on the approvals and the hearing, in conducting the vetting exercise, the committee was well guided by the laws that we had actually said before. There are a few things that we were able to note, and maybe it's good to mention a few for the sake of the House, that this nominee is actually a Kenyan citizen who was actually born somewhere in Kiambu. His academic, professional, and professional qualifications, Mr. Speaker, the nominee holds and is currently undertaking a PhD in strategic management at Kabarak University. The nominee already holds a master's in strategic management from Laikipia University and bachelor's in pharmacy from Dr. MGR Medical University, that is somewhere in India. The nominee is currently the acting secretary and the head of public service at Nakuru County. Mr. Speaker, the nominee has some honors, and the nominee had actually no honors or rewards. The nominee has never been tried in a court of law, and the nominee has been involved in several charitable acts that include paying school fees for the needy. He is a bona fide member of Pharmaceuticals Society of Kenya, and in terms of publications, the nominee has published his master's thesis. And the thesis, Mr. Speaker, is on effects of quality improvement strategic, effects of quality improvement strategies on customer satisfaction. And this one, Mr. Speaker, he dealt it at Naivasha Hospital. The nominee was vetted on the following thematics. A, suitability of the nominee for the position of the county secretary. B, the county preparedness on the upcoming El Nino rains. We also was vetted on roles of the county secretary in implementing the governor's manifesto, of course, to find out whether the nominee was well versed on the office which he was just about to occupy, Mr. Speaker. We also was vetted on the roles of the county government in actually addressing matters in security. And it was hot at that time, Mr. Speaker, remembering that as a county we had had an incident where a small girl was actually raped and killed. And it was a matter of county importance and was even brought before the floor of this house. And we wanted to feel how safe are we as a county, and how vast was the nominee acquainted or knew much on issues on matters of the security. Mr. Speaker, we talked about the issues of curbing traffic menace within the county of Nakuru. Of course, we have always had others wanting to be in the town center, others would want the stages to be outside the town center. We were able to vet the nominee to give us his experience and the plans that he has put in place for this county for the sake of the orderly flow of traffic inside and outside this great county of Nakuru. We also considered about the harmony between the county executive and the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, you realize that these are two bodies that must work together in synergy, one with the other one for the benefits of the Wanjiko, who actually elected us and brought us to this great house. The nominee, while appreciating the distinct roles of the two arms of the government, emphasized the interdependence in execution of their mandate. He committed to ensuring timely responses to the inquiries and invitations by the county assembly committees. Additionally, he also stated that his office had a liaison officer so as to link us between the county executive and actually the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, on matters of public service, the nominee was asked to explain how it addressed corruption, because corruption, more so also this was another hot thing that was moving around within our county. We were very much aware about the doctors who are on strike and the complaints that were all over in the social media and the claims that were claimed in the social media. So we wanted to know the nominee to tell us and to explain matters addressing corruptions, nepotism, favorism when it comes to matters of promotions, tribalism, demoralized county public service, and a rampant strike, especially the strikes that were going on in the public, in the health sector and the health department. In this, Mr. Speaker, it's good to mention that the nominee stated that as a county secretary, he is actually the head of the county public service and exercises supervisory powers over all the staffs of the county government through their respective chief officers. Subsequently, he acknowledged that previously the government lacked human resource policies and strategies. In order to address the challenges that actually were facing the public service within our county, and the nominee outlined the following as measures that he was going to take if given the position of a county secretary. Mr. Speaker, one, formulation of human resource policy and strategies through engagement with various stakeholders. This would actually be able to ensure transparency in promoting he also went ahead to say he's going to develop a code of conduct, which this county in the previous management had lacked. He talked about the dialogue with the various employees, unions, for instance, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmaceuticals, and Dentist Union, among others. He also was open to an open door type of a policy and consultation during his leadership. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, he intimated that automation of the employees, records through the digital registration, will aid the county in reducing the amounts of paperwork and actually be able to promote the transparency, which is actually much needed when it comes to public service. Mr. Speaker, we went ahead to look at the centralized procurements of goods and services. Of course, we know matters procurements has also been a hot potato, and it has been embedded in some cloudiness, and is actually a source of people or honorable members losing the value for the money that they award to the various projects which are actually within their various awards. The nominee was tasked actually to explain the government's policy in procurement of essential goods. He stated that in the past, there was lack of accountability by the various departments, specifically in the consumptions of fuel, which had actually was in a mess previously, Mr. Speaker. In view of this, the government entered into a partnership with Vivo Energy to regulate and restrict fuel consumption to authorized consumers. Vivo Energy, Mr. Speaker, has a system of monitoring their fuel to ensure that it actually conforms to the amount that the consumption conforms to the amount of distances that each and every vehicle actually is able to travel. So I think it was a good thing to borrow from this great organization. The Office of the County Secretary receives regularly updates from Vivo. They have already put that one in effect on the consumption by the various departments within the County of Nakuru. The committee's observations and finding, Mr. Speaker, was that the nominee, in the view of the committee, satisfied the requirements of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on matters leadership and integrity. That the nominee also demonstrated vast knowledge and experience in public service governance. Mr. Speaker, the following recommendations of the committee is what we request today this House to be able to consider. That having conducted an approval hearing of the nominee pursuant to Section 58A of the County Government Act 2012, the Public Appointments, that one is a County Assembly Approval Act 2017. The committee recommends as follows, Mr. Speaker, that having considered the suitability, capability, and integrity of the nominee, pursuant to Section 44 of the County Government Act 2012, the public on the public appointment, that one is a County Assembly Approvals Act of 2017, the committee recommends that the County Assembly, this great County Assembly of Nakuru, approves the nomination of Dr. Samuel Mwaura to the position of County Secretary, Mr. Speaker. I wish to rest my case at that point. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to request for a seconder at this point, Mr. Speaker. And I want to welcome my great friend in this House, the leader of a minority party, to be able to second this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Leader of Majority. Mr. Speaker, I think the House was keen listening to the report that was tabled by the Appointment Committee and which has been eloquently presented by the Leader of Majority. Mr. Speaker, I wish to second what he has said as a member of the Appointment Committee. The whole process of coming out with the County Secretary, like the area said, there's a lot of anxiety even in the House because this County of Nakuru has stayed with an acting County Secretary for a period of more than 1 year. And therefore, the members of the Assembly, the whole County of Nakuru, to getting a County Secretary that will be approved by this House today. The whole process, Mr. Speaker, began with High Excellency the Governor floating 5 names to this Assembly to come up with what was called the selection committee. You read the names in the Assembly, and the names were presented to the appointment committee, and then they were brought to this House, and the members passed the names. Mr. Speaker, after that was done, the selection committee went ahead and was sworn in, and then they made publicly those who were interested in applying for the positions of the county secretary. I am not sure, but I think 18 members applied, of which 12 were shortlisted, which included the name of Dr. Mwaura that we are discussing today. Mr. Speaker, after they did their work, the vetting was done in public and the members were present, everybody was involved. Mr. Speaker, the panel came up with 2 names which were supposed to forward to High Excellency the Governor, and they did that, so the Governor received the most suitable candidate, and this was Dr. Mwaura. The name was again forwarded to these assemblies 2 weeks back, and Mr. Speaker, you committed that name to the appointment committee. The appointment committee, of course, now is giving up a report. On Thursday last week, we did the vetting in public. Like the Honorable Majority Leader has said, the members of the public were involved, the media was involved, and any other person who was interested in knowing what was going on. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, today I am happy to say that us, as the appointment committee, which you chair, we have no objection, and we vote in and we accept that Dr. Mwaura is the most suitable County Secretary of Nakuru. He takes over that position as the 3rd County Secretary of the County Government of Nakuru. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I second the report. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is properly now before the House. And the motion is that pursuant to Section 44 of the County Government Act number 17 of 2012, Section 9 of the Public Appointments that deals with the County Approval Act of 2017, and Standing Order 48.4, this House adopt the report of the Committee on Appointment on the vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwangi Mwaura for the appointment of the position of County Secretary and the Head of Public Service in the County Government of Nakuru. The motion is open for debate. The Honourable Member for Mayu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allotting me that first chance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's very clear that everybody who is in this county of Nakuru, maybe somebody who is living outside, but whoever is in Nakuru, know very well that during our first time here, Mr. Speaker, we are delayed like 4 months by issues of petition court issues, Mr. Speaker, where we wasted almost 3 months or 4 months, Mr. Speaker. And now, Mr. Speaker, here comes a chance now where we want to maybe confirm or verify whether now somebody who acted during that time and until to date, Mr. Speaker, whether he is suitable or not, Mr. Speaker. But it's very clear, Mr. Speaker, that we are discussing somebody whom we have worked with as an acting county secretary for 1 year plus, Mr. Speaker. So this is somebody whom at least we have information or knowledge about him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this guy by the name Mwaura, if you look at other counties, Mr. Speaker, we have heard from media and from other sources, Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of conflict, Mr. Speaker. And this guy have played, this gentleman have played a clear role, Mr. Speaker, to be a bridge between the executive and the assembly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I came to realize about Mwaura, one time I listened to him, Mr. Speaker, when he was in a certain local media, Mr. Speaker, I took my time to listen and understand who is Mwaura, Mr. Speaker. And according to how he articulated issues, Mr. Speaker, I can clearly confirm to this House that Dr. Mwaura holds very clearly the agenda and the manifesto of the governor, and he actually knows the direction that this county is heading, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Mwaura, when we look at his CVs, Mr. Speaker, we can clearly understand that this guy is not new in Nakuru. He have worked as a CEO, Health. He worked in Naivasha, District Hospital, Mr. Speaker. These are clear indication that Dr. Mwaura knows very well about Nakuru. And today, Mr. Speaker, if we can make a brother, maybe of giving somebody new to this position, Mr. Speaker, I think we are going to delay for another 3 months for that guy to catch up, Mr. Speaker. So as Nakuru, we don't have another option, Mr. Speaker. According to my own observation, or according to my own understanding, Mr. Speaker, except if we want to go ahead, if Mr. Speaker, as this county and as honorable members, because Mr. Speaker, 2027 is not very far. We are heading to 2027. Now, if we delay for another 3 months or 2 months, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, when I use my little knowledge that I do have, Mr. Speaker, and I try to observe, Mr. Speaker, I think everybody in this House, if really we need to move our county ahead, we need to confirm Honorable Mwaura, and we give him that chance, at least, to lead us and guide the agenda and the manifesto of our governor to the next level. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving that chance.
The Honorable Hassan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for catching your eye. Mr. Speaker, allow me to welcome the honorable members from Kisumu to Nakuru, and as the chair of Security Committee, make sure that I know where your whereabouts is. You know, when you get lost here, just call the chair of security, and the security is going to be guaranteed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to also thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the appointment committee for coming up with this report. Mr. Speaker, when your office gazetted the special sitting on Friday, some of us who are very loyal to our party were confused on what to do. Because, Mr. Speaker, we were supposed to go there and have the National Governing Council, and also as the NEC member, I couldn't afford to miss that meeting. So I was confused, but I thank your office for coming up, for agreeing and allow us to go, and coming back. And I want to tell you, Mr. Speaker, that meeting was a very fruitful meeting. And
the honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of this House.
Kindly proceed with the report on the floor of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for your guidance. Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, allow me to thank you and the Committee on Appointment for this wonderful report. And I want to say that having had the majority leader clearly from the report, is that now for the first time in Nakuru County Government, we have a liaison office that is the link between the Assembly and the County Executive, which is very important, Mr. Speaker. In any government public service offices, you only need a link between the Executive and the Assembly. So that is something that is very important, and that is something that we saw it, and we want to thank the then acting County Secretary for the wonderful job that he did. Mr. Speaker, the second thing is the streamlining of the issues of fuel. Mr. Speaker, for many of us who are in public service, we know the theft that is always happening in some of these trucks and these small vehicles. There's a lot of theft, and and the fuel is always lost. So, Mr. Speaker, we thank the Office of the County Secretary for streamlining the issues of fuel. Mr. Speaker, there is also an issue of the HR policy that the county government came up, of course, under the stewardship of the county secretary. And Mr. Speaker, the issues of ghost worker is no longer going to be something in Nakuru. So it is something that we thank the county secretary for coming up with such regulations. Mr. Speaker, as I finish this, Mr. Speaker, these submissions I'm doing, nowadays there is a saying that says, mambo ni tatu. Put it to question, put it to question, put it to question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lakeview and the Honorable Doreen, and then we're going to proceed from that.
Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity first to appreciate and welcome members from Kisumu County to this great county, the city that came after Kisumu City. Mr. Speaker, I will refer to this gentleman, Mwaura, and as you can look at the mood within this house, Mr. Speaker, we can say in a medical term that the house is very, very pregnant. And they are very ready to deliver the next baby, the county secretary, Nakuru County. This gentleman, I can only compare him to the great man, Kissinger, who served under President Nixon, Mr. Speaker, because of his connections and how he deals with issues, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I interact with most members of this House, you will find that most of the reference point on how they refer to this gentleman, Mwaura, is a gentleman who cares for the people, a gentleman who cares how the government works, Mr. Speaker, and I don't even see another person who could have worked better with Her Excellency the Governor in delivering the manifesto and the things that we promised to the people. Mr. Speaker, the House is full, Mr. Speaker, and as you can see, Mr. Speaker, even our acting clerk is here, Mr. Speaker. We have people who have not been here within this House, Mr. Speaker, and that means how great this man is, Mr. Speaker, how great this debate of this day is, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, you should not even waste more time, Mr. Speaker. We should just put it to question. Let us bring this gentleman here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Before we proceed, Honorable Member, now that you've submitted your views, now you want me to put question. What about other members?
Mr. Speaker, because you have asked me that question, I think last time I said that I always speak for the devil, Mr. Speaker, and the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Doreen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, being the chair of welfare and library services,
Mr. Speaker.
I want...
Mr. Speaker.
What is it? The Honorable Member for Kiptagich.
Mr. Speaker, sir, just want to hear more about what Honorable Alex have talked. Because here we are Christian, I heard something like a devil, so I don't really understand that.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Alex, you said that you speak for the devil.
Mr. Speaker.
So maybe you need to bring it to context.
For someone who has gone through a literature class properly, Mr. Speaker, you should know how to bring to context whatever is being inferred to. Mr. Speaker, whatever, when someone, if I can take you to a little bit of literature, when you talk about speaking for the devil, does not mean that devil. It just means that you speak for someone who you already know. Because most of the time, Mr. Speaker, you say that the devil is to be blamed for everything, Mr. Speaker. But in this case, Mr. Speaker, the devil has just decided to speak the goodness. And,
Mr. Speaker, sir, let him withdraw. Let him...
allow the honorable member for Lakeview to substantiate, so that now we can
Mr.
proceed.
Speaker, point of information.
Any new information on that?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. When we talk about the devil in this house, Mr. Speaker, you understand that you made a prayer before the house began, and you said, Almighty God, whom in your wisdom, and it goes like that. So when we speak like that, and then we go ahead and say that some of us are devil's advocates, then it beats the understanding and the knowledge of God that we have in the house. So he should apologize. Withdraw and apologize, Honorable Member.
Proceed, the honorable member for Lakeview.
Mr. Speaker, let me withdraw the word speaking for the devil, and I say that I speak for the gods. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Doreen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Before the interruption by the gods man, Mr. Speaker, sir, I was saying I want to take this opportunity to welcome the County Assembly of Kisumu, and being the chair of the Welfare Committee, I want to welcome you. Last week, we had a County Assembly of Kiambu benchmarking with the same Committee of Welfare and Library Services. So this tells you, Mr. Speaker, we are much ahead. Thank you. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, on that same note, I want to support this particular motion of the support of the approval of the County Secretary. On this note, Mr. Speaker, sir, you realize that looking at the Dr. Mwaura, he is a man that most of us have already interacted with in times that he has been the acting CS. He has been able to coordinate most of the activities of the county, and also more so to help the governor in undertaking his duties in the last 1 year that the governor has been in office. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, Dr. Mwaura has proven beyond the reasonable doubt that he will be able to perform the task. He has a lot of experience in the task, and he has already made Nakuru work and shine. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have interacted with him personally, and I can say that he's a very honest man, like our Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Mwaura has already proven that he can bridge the bridge between the executive and also the honorable members. I know, Mr. Speaker, that he has experience, he has the qualification, he also knows that we will be able to achieve more and more as Nakuru County for the smooth running and also for the sailing of the County of Nakuru. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I really noticed that Mwaura is able to articulate his issues very well. And I noticed during the time of the strike in Naivasha Sub-County Hospital that he was able to articulate his issues in the media very well. So, Mr. Speaker, he's a very sober guy, very articulative, very good in how he answers questions even in the media. So, Mr. Speaker, to wind up, it is important that the County Secretary also is the one who is so strong person. That is, we need such a very strong person who realize that every other letter, even when they are sending letter in the county of Nakuru, all the correspondence or all the address goes to the county secretary. So this tells you that he's a very important person in terms of he takes care of in HR, the human resource, and also the leadership of Nakuru. So, Mr. Speaker, I can see that Dr. Mwaura is a whole-round person who surely will be able to take our county to the next level. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to support the motion because he has all it takes for Nakuru. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Doreen. There is an assurance that I want to make that every member will give their input. So on this one, I'm going to allow the Honorable member for Kerriget, 1 minute, and then I cross over to my left. So that I'm not accused of being a rightist or something.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Mutai, MCA from Keringet. And I think mine is very simple. Better the devil you know than the angel you don't know. Better the devil you know than the angel you don't know. Mr. Speaker, I think I have some characteristics that I want to put across concerning Mr.
Order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker. We just talked about devil here, and honorable member has just withdrawn. Who is honorable member referring to? And what I know, it's from the Bible, that the Bible only talks about that we are gods and sons of the Most High. So if we continue mentioning devil, then we are being misreaded. So, Mr. Speaker, let Honorable Mutai explain the devil he is talking about, that he knows. Then he proceed.
Honorable Mutai, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, without much ado, in this context, the devil means the weakness. Weakness, it stands for the weakness. And I don't want to paraphrase, but that is a common saying. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that I have some few characteristics about Mr. Mwaura. One thing is that he's a very shrewd man. Number two, he has a listening ear. In most cases, we kept bothering him, and especially when he had some issues on procurement, and he had a listening ear. We kept calling him, and he used to come, he used to listen to us, and I think if he's going to continue with this kind of a habit, definitely we'll have one of the best county secretaries that we've never had before. Another thing about Mr. Mwaura is that he's very dynamic. Whenever you discuss any issue with him, he has various approaches, and he gives you an opportunity to choose the best option. Mr. Mwaura, Mr. Speaker Sam, I've also engaged with him, and he's equipped with managerial skills. Quite a number of times he's able to manage the executive quite well, the CECs and the CEOs. In many instances, when he had some meetings with him, he doesn't hesitate. He calls straight away to the CEO or the CEC concerned with an issue that is on the table. So I want to support Mr. Mwaura by supporting this motion. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We're going to go on my left. And there is the Honorable Member for Naivasha East, then the Honorable Member for Soin, in that order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for according me that opportunity. Number one, Mr. Speaker, let me thank the committee that you have led in the appointment committee for what you have come up with. We thank you for that. Mr. Speaker, you know, it is suicidal. It is dangerous, Mr. Speaker. It's in actual sense, it's treasonable to have a county secretary who cannot expound, explain, or in actual sense, interpret a manifesto. Mr. Speaker, I have listened keenly to the Dr. Emil when he was reading through. I have also gone through this, through the report, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure that you did a good job. Mr. Speaker, I fell in love with some issues on the report that I really like to explain. One, Mr. Speaker, you know it is also dangerous to have somebody who has nothing. A pauper, somebody living below the poverty line as a county secretary. It is suicidal. In actual sense, Mr. Speaker, it is a spice that can lead to the raping of chapter 6, which talks about ethics, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, when I saw somebody with the 25 million, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Karanja, you are confusing this house.
Yes.
The chapter 6 does not talk of what you're saying, specifically about whether if someone didn't have whatever worth or net worth, that they cannot be considered for public service. Is that what you're driving at?
Mr. Speaker, poverty, Mr. Speaker, is a catalyst to robbing. You know, you don't steal when you have. What are you stealing for? And you know, chapter 6, Mr. Speaker, talks about ethics, talk about all the other things. Mr. Speaker, I say that it is dangerous, it's suicidal to have a pauper in the name of a county secretary. Number 2. Mr. Speaker, I went through the experience of Mwaura, Dr. Mwaura, and Mr. Speaker, I found that there are issues that we also need to adopt. Mr. Speaker, this is somebody who has read health, and by the time he was there, it was factional. Mr. Speaker, when the county secretary is acting, Mr. Speaker, we have not had problems. This is a man, when we call him, he comes. This is a man, when you have an issue, he listens. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, that one is a trait that we also need to follow. Mr. Speaker, you know, when I was also reading through the report, I saw that they have introduced, through him, we have introduced the liaison. Mr. Speaker, you know, the executive and the assembly do work in tandem. And what has been happening, Mr. Speaker, we have been having some people in the name of CS who have inferiority complex, Mr. Speaker, who are suffering, Mr. Speaker, from what we can call an academic, you know, somebody who has an academic inferiority. And such people, Mr. Speaker, their main business is innuendos and fear of the unknown. Mr. Speaker, when you have somebody who is well-run, Mr. Speaker, it is good that you can be able to expound some issues. Mr. Speaker, when I was listening to what the governor's manifesto, you know, it is somehow complex. And I found some people floating. And it would have been, Mr. Speaker, it would have been very dangerous to have somebody who cannot expound the CIDP, and same as, Mr. Speaker, that manifesto. Mr. Speaker, I finish by saying that the CS ought not, because we have been here, and we had a CS who was a puppet of powers and cartels. And Mr. Speaker, we need somebody who can be able to expound and express issues, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, as I said, that a county which is a city and has a CS who cannot explain issues, it would have been dangerous. Now, Mr. Speaker, we have a CS who is a doctor. You know, even education, Mr. Speaker, is good. And the last thing, Mr. Speaker, I dare say, is that as you are going through, and I have found that one, we have found that he has been participating in pro bono issues, education. Mr. Speaker, do you know we have CS who are very mean, even with themselves. Feeding themselves is also a difficult. So, Mr. Speaker, we can now dare say that we do have a CS, and I will ask the members, and through the majority leader, that some of the issues that we have been having now can be able to be solved through the office of the CS. And Mr. Speaker, I dare say that there was nobody who was against Mwaura. Because there are some people, Mr. Speaker, somewhere, who are also professors of creating division. And Mr. Speaker, we dare say, and maybe that's why the devil phrase has been occurring, nobody has been against Mwaura, because we know Mwaura is capable, we know Mwaura is visionary, we know Mwaura is taking this county far. And Mr. Speaker, I finish by saying I do support the report. The report ought to be adopted, and when we are having that, the swearing-in ceremony, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that the House ought to be involved. We be called, even if kama ni kukirap, tukirap, kama ni kuoba, tuobe, hiyo mambo yote ifanyike, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I do rest my case, I do support.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Brilliant.
Mr. Speaker, I wish...
What order?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on Order 96 about the limitation of debate. Mr. Speaker, as you can see, all members will be participating in this motion, Mr. Speaker. And however, Mr. Speaker, you're not going to limit the time that which member is repeating, and they are repeating the same philosophy, Mr. Speaker, we'll be wasting time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish that you draw your attention to that order, and you give the direction to the House, and you limit us from, Mr. Speaker, from being repetitive. Mr. Speaker, it's tiresome, it is wastage of resources, including the electricity, and Mr. Speaker will be here for nothing. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, can you kindly, Mr. Speaker, limit the members, and if it is possible, Mr. Speaker, let us vote. There is no time, Mr. Speaker. We do not have actually to keep on repeating ourselves. We'll be regurgitating our own words, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I wish that you put us to question, but if it's not possible, Mr. Speaker, invoke order number 96, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable Juguna. There was an order before which members would give their views and participate in the debate. And the Honorable Member for Soino was on the floor, was to be on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our colleagues from Kisumu City to Nakuru City, because we are in that status at this moment. So, for today's debate, may I take this, or I concur with my colleagues and the appointment committee for giving us that Samuel Mwaura is the most suitable person to be our county secretary. So I do agree with them, and I also want to say for the few times we have met with Mwaura, I know he's equal to the task. He has been able to run this county for the last 1 year with all the challenges which has been there, but he has been able to control. So I hereby stand and support the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What is the order?
I still rise to the same point of order 96 of limitation of time. But looking at the mood of the House, Mr. Speaker, you may only rule that whoever is not supporting the motion is the one who should talk. Everybody is saying good things about yes, so that we move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Kaptembwa. Honorable Member for Eburu Baruk, then Honorable Member for Menengai, the Honorable Rotok, and then I'm going to give another round so that now we can put it to question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Samuel Mwaura is my Wanjiko. When I was doing campaign, I promised to my Wanjikos that I will try and seek job opportunities for them. It will be very unfortunate if I miss on this opportunity, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I won't take a lot of time. On this one, I will say, I'm not talking about Dr. Mwaura because he is the devil, I know. I know of no devil. I'm not talking about him because I speak for the devil. I don't speak for the devil. I have interacted with a gentleman. I resonate and relate with his passion for service delivery. I have seen him in office and out of office and in action. I can tell you he's not just qualified, but he's an experienced person. He's not just prompt, but he's calculative. He's not just accessible, but he's also approachable. He's not just a gentleman, but he is a cool guy. And borrowing from the Bible, from the story of Jacob, he wanted to marry Rachel, and he was made to work for some time. And just when he was about to be given Rachel, he was given a different older woman by the name Leah. Mr. Speaker, but not the honorable members here. Mr. Speaker, the county secretary has worked for 1 year. I think it's time for us to give him his Rachel and not exchange it with Leah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana Bwana Speaker. Kwa ufupi tu ningependa kuzungumzia na kukubaliana na mjadala huu wa leo, haswa kwa kumpa Daktari Mwaura fursa kuwa county secretary wetu. Kwa hakika amefanya kazi kwa mwaka mmoja na ni mvumilivu, mnyenyekevu na mwenye bidii. Kando na hayo yote, Bwana Spika, nakubaliana kwamba pia yeye hupokea simu hata kwa wakati ambao haufai kupiga simu. Nikimalizia, Bwana Spika, katika tamthilia na fani za Kiswahili kuna kitabu iliandikwa na Ibrahim Hussein Mtanzania mwaka wa 1971. Aliandika kitabu ambayo inaitwa Mashetani. Wale ambao walifanya tamthilia huo mwaka wa 94 na 5 wanaelewa kwamba wanaposema mashetani wanamaanisha mbeberu au mnyanyasaji ama mtu ambaye mwenendo wake haufai katika jamii. Na kwa hapa, Bwana Spika, wacha tumpitishe Daktari Mwaura kama malaika wetu ambaye tunamwafadhalisha. Asante.
Asante. Now, the Honorable Member for Moredat, the Honorable Member for Kamara, the Honorable Member from Kuresoi North, Masekirel, and the Honorable Member for Olkaria, in that order. 1 minute would be enough for each member.
Mr. Speaker, the person in question has obviously demonstrated vast knowledge and experience in public service and governance. And this one is very clear, having looked at his work experience in the last 15 years, having served in the previous 3 governments. Mr. Speaker, the person in question has also deliberately strived to create harmony between the 2 arms of the government, that is the legislature and the executive. And in many times when we have had political crisis, he has rushed in to provide solution and also give guidance. Mr. Speaker, in many ways, the person in question has also proven to be the engine of the county. And Mr. Speaker, you may have you may be a very excellent driver and have a good vehicle, but without an engine, that vehicle may not move. And therefore, in my considered opinion, this gentleman may be the engine to move the county. Last but not least, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to thank a small group from the slopes of Mount Longonot, from the bottom of my heart. This group previously held a contrary opinion, but did not give an alternative. But I'm happy to see that they've given in and stood up for the common good. So, to the small devilish...
Order, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Moredat. What is the group from the slopes of Mount Longonot?
Mr. Speaker, let me withdraw. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kamara.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also raised to support the motion I can't take long, only I'll support the motion in 2 statements. I think members here are making a lot of noise, Mr. Speaker. Okay, thank you. Okay, I want to support in 2 forms in that, on the issue of academic qualification. I believe teachers are here in this house, and in any education, they're what we call academic giants and academic dwarf. But this gentleman became to be academic giant. I've also seen that he's doing some PhD at strategic management at Kabarak University. That shows that he's earning more knowledge for the purpose of Nakuru County. Secondly, Mr. Mwaura has passion. And I believe that people, great men and women of great passion is what propels humanity towards achieving a certain goal. So what Mr. Mwaura is doing is a great passion. Finally, he's very punctual gentleman. There's a time Mr. Speaker, sir, was from the church, Baptist Church. Nowadays I'm a devoted Christian. And I passed by his office only to find him at around 6 a.m. at the office. That shows how punctual he is. And this is a gentleman we want to move it and work together. Finally, members should desist from mentioning the word devil. Devils are Lucifer. When you mention devil, you are like you are inviting him to his house to confuse you and to lie to you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Olkaria, then the honourable member for the Masekile.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be very brief. I just wish to support by saying Mwaura served as the CEO for Health in 2013 to 2017. Mr. Speaker, I draw my experience with him long time from that time of in office, and he was a committed person. He is still a committed person. Mr. Speaker, I want also to recall when the first list was presented to this House for the CCMs, there were series, 10 of them. His name was among the lists. And Mr. Speaker, when there was a hue and cry in terms of the minorities being involved in that list, the list was changed, and whose name, Mr. Mwaura, was omitted from that. And therefore, I expected him to complain and raise a lot of issues. He couldn't do anything. He was comfortable. He tolerated. So he's a person who sacrificed. He has sacrificed a lot. Mr. Speaker, I want to comment by saying that indeed, for sure, if all the first-timers here who have been claiming in terms of the juries, if you so wish to be the juries, then you have no choice than having Mwaura, who will work tirelessly to make you have a...
The honourable member for Olkaria. You're introducing terminologies in this. What are you driving at?
Mr. Speaker, I want to paraphrase it. Of course, when you see them laughing, they have already gotten the context. But I want to paraphrase it in a manner that is also clear to probably our guests. There is a general feeling that, Honorable Speaker, for those who have the second timers or the third timers like myself, and Mr. Speaker, it's a good platform. I'm only putting across that for those who have been privileged to be elected for the first time, I can want to agree that almost 75% of you will be the juries. You will have been be elected the second time if only you have Dr. Mwaura, because as a person who works around the clock, is a person who listens to you, is a person who will work to endeavor to deliver the services, and that's what I meant, Mr. Speaker. And so in this case, therefore, as I raise my case, be proud to have Mwaura so that you have also the second time to be called to the jury. May God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Palanga. It's good to be clear that our Hansard is not configured in a manner to understand the local dialects. So it was good of you to be able to elaborate. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me take this moment to welcome the beautiful ladies from Kisumu and to tell them that Nakuru is the best city to invest, work, and live in. So Waruaki Nakuru and feel at home. Mr. Speaker, concerning the motion of the day, there's a proverb that says, if you shake a mugumo tree, it is only your behind that will shake. Mr. Speaker, the personality of Dr. Mwaura, Mr. Speaker, is beyond reproach and is a person of great integrity, intelligence, Mr. Speaker, and is a workaholic. So I do not wish to repeat myself, Mr. Speaker. I just wish to encourage Dr. Mwaura to tell him that he should walk shoulders high, to work with integrity and support the County Assembly of Nakuru in its workings. And we will duly support him wherever necessary when called upon. We are going to support him to work and in his new endeavors. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I wish to urge the House, which is evident, to pass the name and to support the person of Dr. Mwaura. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Elementaita, and the Honourable Member for Kaptembo, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join my colleagues to support the appointment of Dr. Mwaura, because in the last 1 year that he has been in office, he has portrayed a lot of professionalism, because number one, Dr. Mwaura has a lot of respect to the elected leaders and the nominated leaders, because whenever we have we approach him with issues from our respective wards, he's always ready to reason. Number two, Dr. Mwaura is very competent in the way he handles all the department, in the way he coordinates the departments of this county. Therefore, I support the appointment of Dr. Mwaura as the county secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Peter Kajwang, representing Kaptembo Ward. I want to welcome our sisters from Kisumu.
Mr. Speaker, just an indulgence.
What is it the Honourable Member for Olkaria?
I just wish to indulge my honourable learned friend PK that even as he starts contributing, he should at least appreciate you for indulgence, because he had even closed this debate before you had given this time. So I think it's important that out of indulgence and your fairness, you extend the debate, and that's why he's contributing. So it's only wise that he also appreciates you, that you extended to give him time to contribute.
Proceed, the Honourable Kajwang.
Thank you, Honourable Palanga. You want to gag me, huh? Yeah, I wanted to do a special welcome to my sisters from Kisumu. As I'm standing here, I am an expert from Kisumu, and I'm representing here in Nakuru. I have my sister there who is the deputy leader of Minority Party. So whenever you are here, just know that you are home. Mr. Speaker, I will not go into details. My senior brother has already advised me. I just want to say that the appointment committee has done a good job. They've given us somebody who is of integrity, somebody who is intelligent, somebody who is passionate to the job, somebody who is pragmatic, and somebody who have a lot of experience. Mr. Speaker, your committee has brought to us somebody who is simply above reproach. On issue of pro bono, I think I'm a continuous beneficiary of his pro bono activities, because we belong the same boys club, ama ukitaka wazee wa mbuzi. Asante sana.
Thank you. The Honourable Lea Serem, the Deputy Majority Whip.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa huu wakati, huu fursa njema ambapo nimesimama kuunga mkono mjadala wa siku ya leo. Ninapongeza sana appointment committee kwa kazi nzuri ambao waliweza kufanya. Dr. Mwaura namjua kama mtu mchapakazi, kijana mwaminifu na kijana mtiifu, na pia ni kiongozi, na hata siku zijazo atakuwa mtu mkubwa zaidi. Nakumbuka wakati mwingine, wakati president wetu ambaye wakati huo alikuwa deputy president, alipokuwa ametembelea upande huu wa Nakuru, CS wetu wakati huo alikuwa amepewa fursa kujadili maneno ya afya. Alipomaliza kuongea, president wetu alimpongeza sana na akapenda sana kumjua huyu Mwaura. Ningependa pia kuwakumbusha wenzangu ambao tulikuwa pamoja 2013, kama vile Balanga amesema, pamoja na Fijini ambao wakati huo tulikuwa pamoja, na pia nimkumbushe speaker wetu wakati huo pia alikuwa MCA, na wakati huu ako speaker pale, na pia wakati huo governor wetu alikuwa speaker wa County Assembly in 2013. Lakini mnaona hii dunia ni mfringo. Kwa hivyo hatujui letu kesho tutakuwa wapi. Leo tuko hapa, wenzetu ambao tuko hapa leo tuko hapa, kesho tuko katika executive, na wengine pia watapanda ngazi za juu, watakuwa katika National Assembly. Kwa hivyo nawaombea baraka, na baraka tunapoiombea baraka, mwenzangu hapa Oda. Mwenzangu hapa hapa ananichanganya kidogo, anacheka akiniguzaguza mguu, sijui ni nini.
20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20.
Pole Bwana Spika. Ningependa pia
The honorable member, the deputy majority whip. We would want to get a confirmation. You've just said a very serious comment. So the honorable majority whip, did you disturb in a way to, what exactly did you do? The honorable Fadhili, the majority whip.
Mheshimiwa Spika, wacha nimsamehe alafu baadaye tutaweza kuonana kando. Nilikuwa na agenda kwamba hao waheshimiwa wenzangu walipokuwa wakisunguka kuomba viti Wanjiko, kuna agenda ambao waliweza kuwaambilia. Vile vile gavana wetu aliweza kutaja kwamba afya itakuwa kipaumbele pamoja na agriculture na pia kilimo pamoja na masomo na pia kupata maji mazuri. Tunajua kwamba CS wetu alikuwa CEO wa afya katika county yetu ya Nakuru, na hatutakuwa tumekosea, na hata gavana hajakosea kabisa, kwa sababu hatakuwa akisukuma gurudumu la afya katika nchi yetu ili tuweze kuendelea. Na kumpa, tutakapopitisha CS wetu, tutakuwa tumeongezea gurudumu gavana wetu na kazi itaweza kusonga mbele. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. The honorable member for Viwandani, then the honorable member for Subukia, the honorable member for Bahati, in that order, and then you do another final round, and then we put it to question.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu ya fursa hii. Kwanza nipongeze kamati yako ambayo ni appointment. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nikiweza kuzungumzia ni kana kwamba tunaongelelea maneno kwa in your wisdom and in the wisdom of the committee, kwamba ni kama hamkuangalia, hamkufanya vetting iliyokuwa inafaa. Kwa sababu tunaposimama Mheshimiwa Spika, tunaongelelea kuhusu mtu ambaye mliuliza maswali, mtu ambaye mliona anafaa, mtu ambaye kwa hekima yako wewe mwenyewe kama spika wetu na kama kiongozi wa hii kamiti, ya kwamba mliona ni vyema na mkatuletea. Mjadala huu sio kama wa mashamba, mswada huu si kama mwingine, ni wa jina la mtu ambaye kila mmoja hapa anamwenzi. So Mheshimiwa Spika, hata kama kwamba kila mtu tutaweza kuzungumzia, tutarudia yale maneno, tutasema yale maneno, kila mtu atasema yale tu. Kwa hivyo ningeomba Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hekima yako uiweke kwa swali, alafu sisi tutoke tukajadiliane hayo mengine kama wabunge, kwa sababu haifai tushinde tukiongea kitu kimoja, na sio kwamba hakuna hawawezi sema, lakini hakuna mwenye atasimama hapa kama vile Mheshimiwa Kajwang alisema. Kama hausimami kupinga, unasimama kupinga, ni wewe tu tungepatia nafasi. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, tafadhali naomba tu uturuhusu tuende tukajadiliane hayo mengine huko nje, alafu sasa kama tunayo.
The honorable member for Mayela, I'm going to save you. You save the information, you give your input.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is what I was crying for, because the Mheshimiwa has already put his mind, and we should also be given that opportunity. The standing order number 96, as quoted by one of our Mheshimiwa, also in chapter 3, insists that this motion cannot be limited unless maybe it is adjourned and restarted. So I think we are still in our power as to speak. So welcome.
Mr. Speaker, that order does not have a chapter 3.
No, I've said a clause 3. A clause 3, Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa, a clause 3. That one we have not seen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Protect me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. We welcome the team from Kisumu. God bless you for visiting us. I believe that this is a learning experience. We also want to thank the committee that sat down and gave us this name of our Dr. Mwaura. One thing I can say is that Dr. Mwaura is one person who is a hands-on man. I remember during the campaigns, most of us who were blessed to host the governor can remember very well that Mr. Mwaura was always at the side, and therefore is a well-versed man with a manifesto. He was ready to answer questions, he was ready to take up on any issue raised by the public, and so I believe when we allow him to continue as a CS, despite the fact that he has acted for 1 year, we'll be giving ourselves, the governor and the county assembly and the elected MCAs, an opportunity to maybe able to achieve what we really promised Wanjiku. One thing I would put forward as a request, as I support this motion, is when the ML was reading the profile of the Dr. C.S. Mwaura, he mentioned something about procurement. Mr. Speaker, sir, you know that most waheshimiwas almost getting high blood pressure because of the issues of procurement. Please put this as a very, very serious issue so that our CS will be able to, even if it means converging us somewhere, and assure us that this issue of procurement will be able to give the MCAs an opportunity to deliver and even to utilize the ward funds that they have promised Wanjiku. Because most of us have really failed on issues of ward fund because of the procurement issues. So I believe that being a thorn in the flesh, it shall be revisited even after we have supported. Otherwise, you are Honorable Speaker in this House, I raise to stand and support this motion 100% that we need Dr. C.S. Mwaura as our CS if we need to progress as a county and as an assembly.
Thank you. There was an earlier order. There was the Honorable Isabella, the Honorable Member for Bahati, in that order, and then we're going to take another round. Final round, and then the leader of majority party will respond, and then we'll call it a day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, because I can see some members are very jealous and selfish after they submit their contribution. They just want the motion to cease. The county secretary is the head of the public service and also the secretary to the county executive committee. As head of the public service, the office holder is responsible for the coordination and smooth operation of all county departments. Mr. Mwaura, having worked as acting for the last 1 year, he has the experience, and I was privileged to vet him. I can say without contradiction in this house that he serves with diligence and he deserves the seat. So I stand to support him. Let us confirm him to give us the way forward, and I know that Nakuru County will shine. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii. Pia niwakaribishe kina dada wetu kutoka Kisumu na wale ambao mmekuja nao. Mungu awabariki kwa kututembelea. Bwana Spika, nimesimama kuunga mkono mjadala huu na kwanza kupongeza komiti yako ya appointment na pia kumpongeza sana gavana wetu ambaye yeye ndiye president wetu wa county kwa kutuletea jina safi, jina la mtu ambaye tunamjua na tunampenda, ambaye amekuwa akifanya kazi pamoja nasi very closely na mtu ambaye ni msikivu. Mheshimiwa Kalamita amesema ya kwamba Bwana Mwaura si mwepesi wa kunena na ni mwepesi wa anasikiza. Huo ni ukweli wa mambo. Bwana Mwaura huwa haneni haraka na anasikiza sana, kwa sababu kiongozi ambaye ni kiongozi mzuri lazima usikize unasikia nini na unasema nini. In short, nataka kusema ya kwamba naunga mkono mjadala huu, maana tunajua ya kwamba CS katika county yeye ni watatu katika hierarchy, kutoka kwa governor, kwa deputy governor, tunakuja kwa CS ambaye ni lazima awe anafanya kazi closely na governor wetu. Tunampongeza kwa kazi ambayo amefanya mwaka mmoja, na tunajua kwamba ataendelea kufanya kazi na kutushikilia sisi viongozi wa Nakuru tunapomshikilia pia. Bwana Mwaura nataka kumsema kwa neno moja tu. Yeye ni mpole wa maneno, lakini mtendaji kazi wa hali ya juu. Ni mpole wa maneno na mwingi wa matendo. Aisa.
Thank you. Now we need to bring this to a close.
Some of us have not spoken.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Kindly, the honorable member for Elbagon, if you could save us so that now we do not use any time in the orders, so that in the next 10 minutes, in the next 5 minutes, we are done. And now, you see now when the House leadership stands or they want to contribute, we are not able to just assume that. So in that order, the leadership started with the Honorable Majority Whip, the Deputy Majority Leader, and the Minority Whip, in that order. And then, because we have to be clear on these, the Honorable Member for Waseges, and then the Honorable Leader of Majority Party will respond, and then we'll put it to question.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Yangu nitachukua muda mchache sana kushukuru kamati ambayo imefanya kazi hii mzuri, kutuletea mtu ambaye ni mchapakazi na mtu ambaye ni shujaa. Na cha msingi ni kwamba sisi tunafurahi kwamba sasa ofisi hii ya County Secretary inapata mtu ambaye si acting tena, bali ni mtu ambaye amekuwa confirmed. Na kwa sababu mimi Bwana Spika, mimi Mungu alinipa kipawa ya kutabiri nyota za watu. Na mimi nataka kutabiri nyota ya Bwana Mwaura. Ni kiongozi ambaye naona anaenda mbali. Na kuna nyota moja yake nimeona, labda sijui kama yeye ameiona, nitazungumza naye baadaye. Naona nyota yake kisiasa pia ni mzuri. Na hata siku moja anaweza kuwa pia mbunge wa Gilgil. Kwa hivyo ningependa kumwambia pia aendelee. No man is limited. We have in a limited edition. Asante sana.
The Honorable Deputy Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also want to join my colleagues in congratulating CS for the way the members have really supported the motion. And I say that my own experience with Honorable Mwaura, the CS Mwaura, is that he's a guy of his words, very intelligent, and he knows our county in and out. Having been in the government, the first county government, he did his job well, and up to this moment, he really articulates issues of the county well, as he knows them as the back of his hand. So I join my colleagues in supporting the motion and saying that he deserves the seat. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute on the motion. First, I would like to appreciate members from Kisumu County who have come to benchmark with us. That means Nakuru, we are doing good, especially the Committee on Welfare. Next, I appreciate the committee for work well done, which you headed, Mr. Speaker. Mine is very brief on something I've seen something here, harmony between the county executive and the county assembly. Members, as you are aware, sometimes we have issues when we want to invite farriers, CCs, and COs. But here, the CS has assured us that whenever we need these people to come and answer questions that pertains to our ward, that pertains to the county, to our county in every aspect, you make sure that these people come and we will be able to drive this county to where we want it to be. Mr. Speaker, I like to support. Having known Dr. Mwaura since he was a pharmacist in Naivasha Level 4 Hospital. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Waseges, and then the Honorable Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have only 3 attributes for Dr. Mwaura. Dr. Mwaura is smart, Dr. Mwaura is eloquent, and Dr. Mwaura is a good reasoner. So I raise to support the motion, and I say yes. Thank you.
Thank you. The Leader of Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the honorable members. I want to take this great opportunity, Mr. Speaker, going by the moods, though I don't want to assume until the question is really put, for the great words that, as I was sitting passionately, have been uttered by these great minds, women of honor and men of honor, when it comes to the decisive moment where it really matters. The issue of CS, Mr. Speaker, in my short stint as a majority leader in this House, has been very emotive. It is an issue that, as an assembly, the great unity that we have been building, the great work that we have been working together, agreeing, talking to each other, doing many things together as an assembly has not been easy, Mr. Speaker. And as we bring this debate today to an end, Mr. Speaker, I would wish that with the same strength, the same energy, the same way we really took the appointment of this CS, will act and foster and make us a greater assembly that will even be more united than ever before. It is a joy of any leader that whenever you lead, whoever you are leading, we are able to move together. We are able to work together. We are tied together. We have a time that we are still sticking together for the next 4 years or so, Mr. Speaker. So as I sat today and listened to the contributions of members and the way members have come in their numbers, I have no doubt, Mr. Speaker, as a leader, that whatever short stint of division that was there is totally closed, and we shall continue to move together as a great county assembly of Nakuru, an assembly that is full of people with divergent views, but an assembly also that do what they are supposed to do when the time to do it actually comes. And I think the time for this great debate has come for us to be able to move forward. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I'm a believer that this House, because it sits with leaders, that any good leader is not known much by the many things that we have done before. We know we have our own responsibilities from our various wards, and there are many projects that we are going to do. But a good leader, Mr. Speaker, will be remembered because of the leaders that they have made. We are here today, and we want to make one more leader as leaders by passing the name of Dr. Mwaura. Mr. Speaker, when we do that as an assembly, and as I humbly request the assembly to assist the leadership in passing the name of this great gentleman who has been described by many very openly in an open manner, in a daylight like today, that he is competent to sum up what the members have said, and he fits in the position, and he's a good listener. Personally, I always describe him as that, a small man or a small gentleman with a lot of brains, a guy who listens, and as a leader who has also had a lot of interactions with this great gentleman called Mwaura. And as a link of this assembly, if this great assembly so desires to pass his name as a leader for the time I am, I think I have a great partner who will link the issues of the assembly directly to the executive, Mr. Speaker. So as I sit down, I say it is never done until it is done. It is my humble duty to request these great members that they may support the motion of this gentleman who works tirelessly for Nakuru, who has been there for a whole year in an acting capacity, who has always had a listening ear, who has always worked with us, who has always been there for you individually, to listen to you, to listen to your needs, to listen to the needs of your Njiko on behalf, to make our works easier as MCAs, to be able to link us with the CECs and the CEOs. That man who has never shied away, that even any time that you call him, he leaves his glamour in his good, big acting office to come to this assembly to listen to us.
that you may give him an opportunity to be the county secretary of this great assembly of Nakuru. Mr. Speaker, it's my duty to request the members that let them consider Dr. Mwaura as our county secretary. Mr. Speaker, I wish to rest my case. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I now want to put it to question that pursuant to Section 44 of the County Government Act, number 17 of 2012, Section 9 of the Public Appointments Approval Act that deals with the county approvals of 2017 and Standing Order 48-4, this House adopts the report of the Committee on Appointment on the vetting of Mr. Samuel Mwangi Mwaura for appointment to the position of County Secretary and the Head of Public Service of the County Government of Nakuru. As many who are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
As many who are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Mr. Speaker, those are the orders of the sitting.
Honorable members, this House starts adjourned to today, 2:30 in the afternoon.